everyone, I'm Kate Andrews, and here's a look at what is going on this week in the news. When we begin from the papal flight back to the Vatican, Pope Francis surprised the world when he announced that he would be taking 3 refugee families back to the Vatican. Room Reports has more.
Pope Francis surprised again during his return trip to Lesbos. On the way, there were many empty seats on the plane. Who would have suspected that these seats were reserved for 12 Muslim refugees who would be welcomed to the Vatican by the Pope?
È stata un'ispirazione una settimana fa che propriamente è venuto di un collaboratore mio e io ho accettato subito, perché ho visto che era lo Spirito che parlava.
He explained that after this moment, the Vatican began the legal proceedings to set this unusual initiative in motion. He recognizes, however, that this initiative does not resolve the plight of refugees.
Lo stesso hanno domandato a Madre Teresa, ma lei tanto sforzo, tanto lavoro per aiutare a morire la gente soltanto? E per quello che lei fa non serve, è tanto il male. E lei ha risposto, è un goccio, è una goccia d'acqua nel mare, ma dopo questa goccia il mare non sarà lo stesso. Rispondo così, è un piccolo gesto, ma quei piccoli gesti che dobbiamo fare tutti gli uomini e le donne per tendere la mano a quello che ha bisogno.
He said it is understandable that in Europe the arrival of refugees can be seen as a threat, but said the solution is not to build walls. He noted that the old continent is facing the challenge of integration, a challenge that must not be tackled defensively, but by putting yourself in the place of another to see things with their eyes.
Non si perda, un'amica sulla mia scrivania. Questo è tutto un simbolo.
In news from around the world, an earthquake that struck Ecuador on April 16th has killed 272 people. Among the dead, 6 members of the Servant Sisters of the Home of the Mother. One sister was from Northern Ireland. Sister Claire Teresa Crockett of Londonderry died while leading children to safety in a school where she was teaching guitar. Her body was found under the rubble. 5 Ecuadorian postulants also died in the collapse. The order identified them as by their first names, Yasmina, Maria Augusta, Myra, Valeria, and Catalina. The magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck the Pacific coast region of the country. It was the strongest earthquake to strike Ecuador since 1979. Authorities reported that nearly 3,000 people were injured and that an unknown number of buildings were destroyed or damaged. In news from the Vatican, Pope Francis met with the president of Bolivia at the Vatican. Rome Reports goes inside the exchange.
The Pope held this meeting with Evo Morales in the Vatican. The last time they met was in Bolivia, where the president greeted Francis with a controversial crucifix. During his 27-minute meeting in the Apostolic Palace, they discussed issues such as the socio-economic status of the country and the Church's contribution to Bolivian society. They also talked about education, health, aid to the needy, and some international issues. After Morales presented to the Pope and his delegation, it was time for the exchange of gifts. The Bolivian president gave a bust of the indigenous Bolivian leader, Tupac Katari. In addition, he gave other curious gifts, these 3 books on the cocoa leaf with a recommendation to Francis. The Pope reacted with indifference to the advice. He gifted Evo Morales a San Martin medallion that he usually gives international leaders. He also gave his Amoris Laetitia exhortation and the book The Name of God is Mercy. After the meeting, they parted with a hug.
And we will conclude our news at the Vatican. They may have only been in Rome for a few days, but the refugee families have already filled out their immigration paperwork and enrolled in Italian classes. They've also done a lot of interviews. The 3 couples, Hassan and Noir, Rami and Sahila and Osama and Waifa and their children call their new situation at the Vatican a dream. It's a stark contrast from a few months ago when their homes were bombarded in Syria. They escaped to Greece on overloaded rubber boats and have been living in a refugee camp. When asked what he thought of the head of the Catholic Church sponsoring Muslim refugee families, Osama said peace has no religion and called the Pope's gesture moving. Noir said that no other religious leader has helped them like the Pope did. Well, that's going to do it for news. I'm Kate Andrews. You can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.